Welcome to the Floating Dojo. Today we're going to be going over a new variant of the Katsu deck that did very well in Rotterdam over the last, I think, a couple weeks ago now. They did what we know as the Flood of Force Katsu, which is a high-density combo deck aimed to make Ancestral Harmony hit and Flood of Force hit to go for a different style, kind of one-hit kill turn, while still allowing double bonds and things like that to happen later or earlier. And I think it's very fun. It's very interesting. The version that I've been playing is slightly different, but we're going to dive into it, talk about it, and why I think it is honestly a pretty solid build of the Katsu that we have right now, especially for the meta that we're playing into. I'll kind of start with why I think this deck is better in some ways than the traditional Katsu deck. And the way that the traditional Katsu deck is that it's sometimes, once you have your big pop-off turn with your bonds, you don't have enough gas kind of left in the tank, and a lot of the other strategies that you can run with the deck are running cards like Mugenshi into Lord of Wind to try and cycle cards back in. And I think that it's just not good enough right now with heroes like Victor and Huntsman and other just good blocking like warriors and stuff. I think where Flood of Force Katsu really shines is the fact that it allows you to have different lines you can weave between a little easier. And when you're, instead of trying to gamble on a Harmony hitting, you can build the deck in the fact that it'll almost pretty much always hit. And the way that your Flood of Forces and Break Tides will always hit, netting you more cards and on just increasing your ceiling on those combo turns. And it doesn't matter if it hits, it just, Flood of Force simply states that it reveal it when you play it, as long as that was the last attack in the chain. So not having to worry about the on hit is super nice, and you can kind of IP yourself sometimes to sculpt that hand to make it happen. And I think it's just really fun. It runs Rainbow 100 Winds, which I was not a believer in until I started playing it and realized that yellow and blue 100 Winds are super nice because they force your opponent to almost always give you a card if you want them to stop you from Katsuing. And having to give a 3-block on like a blue 100 Winds or give equipment on a blue 100 Winds before you start like a line or something like that just feels so bad for them. And it allows us to sometimes convince your opponent to let one damage leak through on a 100 Winds so that we can throw a huge combo after. Something Katsu states in his hero ability is that once you get to Katsu, you can play it for the entire turn, meaning that you don't need to keep the chain open. So you can do something like play 100 Winds, get your Katsu card, get your Mask of the Pouncing Lynx card, because you can still play it on the whole turn, break the chain with like Heart and Cross Strap, and then start your Surging Strike line. And at that point, you already have all your pieces in the Banish Zone, so you don't even have to worry about things interfering with it. Things like Scowling Flesh Bag, things like Cull, things like Test of Iron Grip, because the cards are already in the bench and they're not in your hand, so they're not going to be disrupting you with it. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting deck, and I think it could be a really good dark horse right now. It really preys on decks that don't block well, but it also has the tools to get around decks that block a little bit better. Obviously, this is still not a favored matchup for most Victor and Huntsman decks. Guardian usually just kind of chews us up, and that is just the way that it always is for Ninja. But I think in the right hands, this deck can absolutely pilot well. So let's jump right into the deck tech. Okay, so equipment rise, we're really running the standard Katsu stuff. We're running Breaking Scales, +1 card to combo attack reaction with Battle Worn 1. This is a common from Welcome to Raid. This has been a staple for Katsu ever since it's been played. Breeze Rider Boots from Crucible. This allows us to extend our big combo turn, giving us go again on all of our combo cards, and this works retroactively after you hit. So you can hit someone with a combo card, pop your Breeze Rider Boots, and since you're still in the resolution of the chain link, it gains go again, which means you can extend your turn. We're running Heart and Cross Strap. This is a free 2 resources to play an attack action card, which is really nice for our Surging Strikes. And then Mask of the Pouncing Lynx is basically tutor out a 2 or less power attack, and then you banish it. You can play it this turn. And you do have to hit for this to happen. And it has to be an attack action. You can't hit with your weapons. And we're on Harmonized Kadachi for the weapons, the standard, just 1 for 1 go again. Have to have a 0 cost, which all of our blues are 0 cost. They always work with Kadachis. Sideboarding equipment, we have Nullrune gloves. These are pretty much only for Vynnset right now. There has been some really interesting Acilio builds going out, and with the new wizard coming out in Omens, there may be a switch to running more AB, but we will see. At the moment, AB1 has been working just fine. I'm running Shuko for Prism. We run a lot more 2 or less base cards, especially the Breaktide, Flood of Force, and Retrace being added, and the yellow and blue 100 wins. So it does trigger a little bit more often now, and it's still a great 2-block to shut down the dominated angel that they throw. And then we have Windcutter here for the Guardian and Huntsman matchups. Windcutter helps get around Hunter or Hunted, which is really nice because you can respond to them playing the Hunter Hunted, search your deck, shuffle it, and then they don't get to look at the top after they've already done it the first time, which forces them to make a blind guess. And I bring this into that matchup and into some Guardian matchups because I think it increases our odds to get over the top on the big turn if you can sculpt it well. But yeah, so that's our equipment. Very standard, very traditional Katsu, nothing crazy there. Let's dive into the deck list though. I got a main 60 and then we have a sideboard. And I'll kind of talk about what the sideboard is for and when I use it in each of those matchups at the end. So we'll start with our main 60 here. We have Bonds of Ancestry. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it or hates it. But it combos with all of our Gust Wave cards and allows us to tutor from our graveyard a card with the same name. So usually we want to set this up in our graveyard, go in with one of them in there already so you can play 2 on a single turn. Ideally with an Ancestral Harmony in play, so that we can maximize damage across the board and go as many chain links as possible. We're on Descendant Gust Wave. We're running 5, 3 reds and 2 yellows. There's going to be a lot of Gust Waves in this deck, and if you play Katsu or no Katsu, that is just the way it is. This is from Outsiders, though. It is the 1 cost for 3 or for 2 in the yellow form, and it allows you to have unconditional go again, and if Surging Strike was before, then it costs 1 less, so it's free, essentially. Flusterfist, we're running in red and 1 blue. This is for bonds targeting. We can block with the blue one, and then find a red one. This has Open the Center as the last chain. It gets +1 for each attack, so it's basically Salt the Wound, but it has a base 4, which is pretty great. Gust Wave of the Second Wind. This is just another Gust Wave 0 for 4. Go again after Surging Strike. 100 wins. This combos off of itself, so it gets +1 for each other one named 100 wins in the chain that you control. So not necessarily in a row, but just in total. But the one that you play before it has to be 100 wins again. So you could go 100 wins, Kadachi, 100 wins, and the third one would get +2, even though there was only 1 right before it. I'm really not trying to play a bunch of these in a row, usually. Usually I am just trying to Katsu them away or force on hits. And they just serve as great extra damage cards when you hit them off of Harmony and Flood of Force. And they have Unconditional Go again, which is just really great. Rushing River. This is a card that was played in the Rotterdam list. And this is the card that combos into Flood of Force and Breaktide. It states if Torrent of Tempo is the last attack this chain, this gets +1, go again, and then if it hits, you'll draw X cards, and then put X cards from your hands on top of your deck in any order where X is the number of attacks of this chain. So, you hit 5 times, you make this hit, having Torrent of Tempo the last attack, which you can do with Retrace the Past. You're going to draw 5 cards, and then put 5 cards back on top of the deck in any order, which, if you're going to play Flood of Force next, you'll then know what card you're going to flip on top. So you can use it to set yourself up. You can set up the cards you're going to draw next turn. You can set up what you're going to Breaktide. A lot of things. So it's a really cool card, but it also is good for bonzing on the Breeze Rider's turns to set up your Flood of Force. Surging Strike. This is our classic starter. 2 for 5, go again. I'm only running the 3 reds. We're really trying to minimize non-combo cards in the deck, but we do need a few, unfortunately. So there's 3 of these in the deck, and then I don't have any yellows. So people have been trying them out with the yellows. I think it just makes the odds worse for you in the big blowout turns. So I've been happy with 3 so far. T-Green Reflex. I am on 2 of these in the main deck right now. It might swap, it might change. I've really been liking it. I play a game into Vynnset that really showcases why I like this card. And And it's still a combo card, so you can hit it off the top, and it still is going to come in for a 0 for 4, which is really nice. And it works with Flood of Force and with Break Tide, or with Flood of Force being a combo card. So it's better than Ancestral Empowerment in this specific style, which you'll notice I'm not running Ancestral Empowerment. That card is not in this list because it doesn't say combo on it. But this does, and it's basically the same thing. So I've been running 2, been liking it at 2. I think 3 is a little too much, and 1 doesn't feel like I see it often enough. So been liking the 2. Running 6 Whelming Gust Waves. This is another classic Katsu Gust Wave card. +1 if it was Surging Strike before, go again, and on hit, draw a card. Let's get into these new cards here, or old new cards, old cards that are being played again. Break Tide being the first. This one goes off of Rushing River or Flood of Force. It gives +3, Dominate, and if it hits, you banish the top card of your deck. You can play it until the end of your next turn, which is really, really key there. So you can use that to set up for a 5 or 6 card hand in the future. And especially if you don't know if a top card is, maybe it's a miss. This doesn't matter if it's combo or not. It just needs to hit. So Break Tide often works better into the aggro decks that aren't able to block and stop dominate attacks. If they have a hero you're playing with a lot of equipment available still, sometimes throwing Break Tide may not be the right option because they could still easily block it out and then you're not going to get your extra card. But that is where Flood of Force comes in, because Flood of Force doesn't need to hit. Flood of Force simply states that if the Rushing River or Flood of Force was the last one of the chain, you reveal the top card. If it has combo, it goes into your hand. This gets +3 and go again. So it becomes a 0 for 4, go again, and you net a card off the top. So I've had games where I have played Flood of Force, hit another one off the top, played that one, and then hit another combo card. So playing the first Flood of Force nets you 2 cards and essentially another 8 to 12 damage. And it doesn't need to hit. So if there's a Guardian or, heavy defensive decks, it doesn't matter if it hits or not. You can just keep gaining cards in your hand, keep netting cards, and keep throwing damage. Especially when you have your boots online that turn. Just any of these 0-cost combo cards, you can just keep playing them. So yeah, Flood Force, crazy cool. Does some really crazy things. Really fun. Tempest Bomb Gust Wave. We're in our 3 of those. Those are from Super Slam. Very good expansion card. Ancestral Harmony. These are our other 3 misses in the deck. But usually we're playing these, so hopefully they don't come off the top. But you banish top card of your deck. All your combo cards get +1, and then you can play the top card if it has combo when you flip it over. Dishonor. This is a classic Katsu card. If you are playing Katsu and you're not playing Dishonor, I think you're playing the deck wrong. I'm going to be honest with you. This wins games so many times against certain heroes. Especially heroes that need their hero ability to play the game. Heroes like Gravy, or I don't know, Dorinthia, So heroes that really rely on their hero ability for their cards and deck to function well. We got Retrace the Past. This is our naming trick card. We can use it off of any of our Gust Waves, and we can use it to name stuff like Torrent of Temple for Rushing River. We can use it to name Surging Strike for Descendants, or Open the Center for Fluster Fists. We can use it to name things for Flood of Force and Break Tide. So it fills in the gaps that we need very well, and it's a very powerful card. And then I'm running 3 Winds of Eternity, almost only because I have 900 wins, and why wouldn't you? If you pitch blue 100 wins down and then blue Winds of Eternity's down, your end game could be, Kadachi 1, 2, 4 off of a couple blues and a couple blue 100 wins and a Winds of Eternity. So it's a great ending card game, and it's very powerful in the late stage. And it also blocks for 3. And if you name something 100 wins, you can shuffle it back in, so you could save a Retrace or something crazy. But yeah, so that's our main 60. It's been performing pretty well. I really like the additions. I think the changes from Rotterdam that I have made involve adding the 2 yellow Descendants, adding the 2 T-green Reflexes to main deck, and I think that's it. I think they were running, I want to say they're running a less smaller core, and they're running things like Seek Vengeance and Spinning Wheel Kick, which I am not on those. But yeah, so that's where we sat at the 60 that I really like. Our sideboard is kind of built for a few different archetypes here. Enact Vengeance is a popper that also says combo, so we're running that for Prism. Flick Flack, I'm running into Mario for D-React. Remembrance, I'm running into Huntsman and some Guardian matchups. I'm really not sure if I like it in the Guardian ones yet. I kind of just have it in here for now. Fatigue Blades for sure you'd want to, but that kind of disappeared, so I don't think it really matters anymore. Find Center, I had one open slot in my deck list, and so Find Center just kind of found its way in there. This could swap into another Arcane piece if AB becomes more prevalent going into the next set, but we will see. We will see for sure what happens there, especially with Ziggy having a 2 Arcane weapon, and that being pretty common. And then the 3 Shurikens that we're going to use for the Wind Cutter, these go into also our Guardian and Huntsman matchups. But yeah, that's it. It's a pretty cool deck. I think I've gotten about almost 40 games on it and sitting around almost 65% win rate with it. So been pretty happy with the way it's been playing. Obviously still learning a lot of the lines and a lot of the intricacies of the deck. But it's very fun, and I implore you to try it out and let me know what you think. The sideboard is very subject to change still. I'm really just testing a lot of different Katsu style play right now before we get into Nats. So let me know what you think. We got some gameplay for you guys here. And then we will see you next time with some more gaming. So peace and love, and I'll see you next time. I'll go first, just so they don't get to set up and pass. So I think what we're going to do is just get some cards in the bin where we want them. So throw some Kadachis, throw the Tempest Palm, throw the Rushing River, and then just arsenal that Gustwave for the second wind. Might have been actually smarter to throw the Rushing River pitched first to filter another card out, because then we could have just thrown the Gustwave and arsenal the Tempest, and that would have saved us from a little bit of a brick, possibly, next turn, but is what it is. We do have some get out of jail free cards, so we can be a little greedier early on in the game. We'll throw Rushing River. I am running Null Rune Gloves in this game. That's the only really sideboard change. And I also do run the one of Find Center in this matchup. Not that I think it's ever going to be relevant, but like, it's in the deck. It's an option. I kind of needed one more card for the 80, and it's a blue combo card with utility, so I threw it in the deck. Can it maybe do stuff? Maybe, we'll see. Do I think it will? Probably not, but it's better than some other blue 0 for 3s. I think I took out a Winds of Eternity, because I'm running 3 of those. So I think I swapped one out and then kept the... I think he's just waiting on his end. Yeah, I took out one of the Winds of Eternities, and then we just swapped it with a Find Center, so... then we're just going to arsenal that, and then hopefully... Alright, cool, we drew another one, which is nice, and a T-Green, which is super solid. They'll probably just set up this turn, which I'm cool with. Totally fine with. There is our Find Center, which, like, isn't great. I don't really want to see it in the pitch zone. I mean, its purpose is to pitch for Kadachis or to be a find later, so I don't think I'm pulling it out this turn regardless of what happens, so we're going to gamble on this little T-Green pop here. Nice. We're not going to pop Boots quite yet, but we do have another Tempest in there, which is cool. Not going to pounce any links. We will Katsu here. And I think we're going to go just for a small damage line here. We're going to go for a Retrace into this Fluster Fist. We do have to be careful because he can face perk the 4 block to pull that out so that we don't get the chain. You could make us, I think it's discard, right? Yeah, you discard this. Which would be fine because you wouldn't have it anymore. The other option is that we go straight for like a Flood of Force turn, and we pull out a Bonds, and then we play the Rushing River from Bonds, and then from the graveyard, and then we Flood of Force, and then we have these 2 left over, which is pretty good. I think getting a Bonds in the graveyard early is probably better than anything, so we'll go for that. It might require us popping our Boots if we do this. The safe play probably this plays around face purgatory a little bit more, which is good. Oops, that's not the card I wanted. They look too similar. Okay, I guess they're both just red. There's actually not much. They're not that similar. I just can't see. But we're gonna try and just bully some damage, I think, this turn. And then we'll see if they go for the face perk here. They do. Okay, so I mean, we played around it, which is good. We got a bonds in there, which is good. We'll see if he blocks us for 3. He might. It stopped me from masking. Okay, so do we want to pull it out here? I mean, we could just go Flood of Force, and then we'd be able to play the Gust Wave as well after. Yeah, let's go for it. We still have our cross strap for a surging turn later for our double bonds, so I'm going to Pouncing Lynx. We could also pull out a Break Tide here. They don't have the blocking equipment really to deal with a Break Tide. Unless they give us their Tunic and their Creepers, which would be, I think that's crazy, personally. Flood of Force just puts it in our hand, but Break Tide we need to play up till next turn, so I think we go Break Tide here. And see what we hit, and that way we don't have to gamble on it being, if maybe it's a Surging Strike or something, we don't lose the value that it gives us. And we have Go again unconditionally with it, so that's good. It's a Fluster. So do we want to just throw like 8 more damage this turn and put them super low because they're holding cards? And I think it's probably best for us to just deal as much damage now as we can. They're obviously not blocking, so putting a health gap and putting them lower in health is probably best here. Putting them at 18 feels pretty good. They don't have that much set up, so they are going to go for it on this turn though. So we will I think we honestly are going to. I think we're going to block some of this because I want to Arsenal this Harmony. This hand does not efficiently operate with a Harmony in any way. So I want to make sure that we preserve our life total right now because they only have 1 Malefic up. They don't have their Vexing anymore. So I think this is safe to try and block this whale for, 7? Yeah. It does suck having to block with the bonds. You won't be able to double bonds. But we're going to just take these Rune Chants. I could pitch for him, but I need to be able to block in case they have a Succumb. Playing around the Succumb here I think is probably best. Because if we don't, I think we force them to pick between... I mean, we could just block 6. And then if they have the Succumb, it does allow them to do the on-top banish, though. Here's the real question: is do I want to Arsenal, a Harmony, or a Bonds? At the end of this turn. And I don't know which one I really want to Arsenal. I think I'd rather Arsenal the Harmony just for the high roll. But getting rid of our second bonds feels really bad. We haven't seen a Descendant yet. We don't have our boots to get us out of awkward positions, so we would be gambling on finding other pieces. I think we give them the bonds. I don't know if that's right or not. That might be the wrong decision. We might have wanted to hold the bonds and block with the Harmony here, but we had a call anyway. So, okay. So it doesn't matter. Didn't matter at all. We played around Succumb. He had the call. That hand didn't do much for us. In all reality, didn't do anything for us if we held it. So I think blocking that out is probably better than anything. Let me just pass, and hopefully this hand's better. Does have 100 wins. But that's Not that crazy. They banished an Annihilation, so they got to make another rune chant. They could with the Grimoire. But again, this is a hand I think we're going to try and... Yeah, we're going to try and prevent most of this. They pay the 1? I don't think they paid the 1. No, so we'll take the 1. And then I will pitch a bunch of this away, and then we're going to just block. We're try blocking 6, and if he has a Succumb or something, then he just takes it. That's fine. Oh, we're banishing a card from our hand. Anyway, I should have just blocked with it. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was me just being an idiot. We did draw 200 Winds and a Winds of Eternity, though, which is pretty gas. He is fighting to make rune chants right now. That's crazy. This doesn't do anything to us, though. Really? Oh, is he a Dirge? So the question is, do I think he's holding another Call or a Succumb? And, like, he might be. 5. He doesn't make any more again, though, at the end of this. So, like, if we just try and prevent as much of it as we can, I can block 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Block comes in for 7, right? I can take the 5 rune chance. And then we can just block it out. Arsenal with Ascendant? That might be the best bet. Might be the best bet. I'd really love to start throwing damage. I think we just need to... And he had another call. So unfortunate. I was really gambling that he had the other one. I really didn't want this to hit because he can do so much good stuff. Yeah, we'll just banish that. Block all of that. He's gonna have to, I think, take a setup turn eventually. And hopefully when that happens, we can punish. This is a great hand for us to, if we can, hold one for once. We've only got 1 call left, but he has no rune chance and no get out of jail rune chance starters, so unless he can... Okay, yeah, we'll take the 1. And I'm gonna try and just take 6 here and pray he doesn't have the Succumb this time. Oh, man. Just so unlucky. So unlucky. They've timed out super well for him. I probably could have just AB'd, like, with the Whelming or something on that turn. The 1, so that he didn't... Yeah, he took the Surging. That makes sense. I would have as well. This hand doesn't feel like I want to keep it anymore. Man, I thought we would brick him eventually. We did not yet. He does have a Recesses left in there. He's got 1 Dirge left. I'm starting to think that we shouldn't have blocked that widespread earlier, and we should have just gone with the 100 to Winds of Eternity to try and deal some damage to get him lower. But that might have been just a misplay. I don't know if we block this or not. Maybe we do, just so we can... Yeah, I think we just block it. We just try and deny as much rune chant generation from them. Gonna go 1-1 here. And then hopefully... Okay, pull cards out. That's cool. I'm very happy to see that card blocked with. I'm not even going to throw this card right now, though. He's already played 2 of his widespread destructions. I'm going to really hope that he just doesn't have the 3rd one right now. He might, but he does not. Okay, so we finally caught him on a setup turn. So now I think is our like 1 shot to try and kill him. And we're going to do it off of this Tempest Palm if we can with the T-Green. He can cull us at instant speed if he decides to, which would really suck. We're going to really hope he doesn't here. We're going to gamble on that T-green here. Hopefully he doesn't have it. He doesn't. Sick. Okay, so that's huge. So we could either go for our third bonds here, or we could put, and then bonds out like, I don't know, something else. Or we can go for a retrace on the Whelming Gust Wave to try and draw the card, because that allows us to go for 4, 4, and then 3, which is 11. Or we pull out a bonds here and we go bonds for 4 into like, I don't even know. Bonds for 4 into like 100 wins for 3 into rushing for 3, which would be 1. We keep an arsenal that way. I think dealing more damage now is probably better, and the threat of the card draw feels better too. We could also technically do the Rushing River play here. We could retrace Naming Torrent and then go Rushing River for 4. If it hits, then we can do the thing where we can draw and discard cards to try and find a Flood of Force on top. That's kind of cool. I kind of want to try that. We'll see. We're going to go for it. Because that'll also technically allow us to Arsenal this Whelming if they like block it out or something. But it also presents lethal this way. And if they let this hit, which I imagine they don't. Yeah, okay. We couldn't block it out anyway. So next question, is it worth us throwing this Whelming for 3 to put them to 2? Or is it better for us to just Arsenal it and pray that we hit a Surging Strike? Because we have drawn 1 so far. And this would at least give us an attack next turn. And they're sitting on a DRE in there that costs 4, and they don't have, got 1 right now. So I could Dirge it. We don't have to worry about Spellbound tricks anymore. Is putting them to 2 better now? I just don't know. I think it probably is. I think putting them to 2 is probably better. Because it makes, without having no blocking equipment, it makes Kodachi's so much better if we can just hold 2 cards. Because it'll force them to give us cards. So I think that's probably, yeah, probably our best play. We did draw the Surgings, a little unfortunate. And Mauve Sky is gross. Alright, so we gotta block 6 here to stop this thing from hitting, for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4 puts us to 8. Yeah. Skip all the Rune Chants. And then we're gonna have to, because if this hits, I'm trying to think, if this hits, we go to 2, they make 3, 4 Rune Chants, and then throw this. Let me think here. He has Culls in his graveyard though, which is like really obnoxious. He could just cull right at the end of this turn. I think we have to block the 6 just to stay alive. I think he's not really got a lot of options to play with here, and he's playing with his own health at this position. So I think saving our health as much as we can. Yeah, they're probably going to pull a call out with this. Maybe not. I can't, because they can just DRE when this slows. If I block a card, he can call the last card out of my hand. And that just won't do. Yeah, I kind of figured he would call. He would call here. But it still allows us to throw a Surging for 5. Which I think is good. From this position. I think we just throw it. I think we just, because that should give us 2 or 3 cards and leaves us with 1 or 2 in hand. He has nothing here. So whatever he banishes has to be like a 2 cost. And if we can just play around that, we could be able to Kadachi out of here. Okay, so he did have the Ruin, which is fine. We're going to maybe 1 here. This is going to come in for 6, right? 3, 6. Yeah, so we can... I don't really care if this hits, actually. Let's think for a minute. I don't care if it hits. I just don't want to take the Rune Chant damage. I think going 1-1-1-4? Kadachi, 100 wins into Flusterfist is better. We can pitch that for both of these. Yeah, so pitch to the 2 of those, and then this is just going to come in for 6. It can't have Go again. He didn't deal Arcane this turn, so he cannot play Succumb at instant speed. He has no shenanigans. So we just need to block... Oh, I guess technically we die if we don't. If we block 3 here, we can go 1-1-4 next turn. Probably good. Probably pulls their whole hand. We go to 3, that's okay. He does get an arsenal, but he can't make things unpayable or preventable by doing his health payment. So like, we don't have to worry about that. We just need to worry about pulling enough cards from his hand that he... Oh, he didn't arsenal that last card. I wonder what it was. We're gonna throw that Fluster and hopefully pull both cards. Sick. Ooh, Eulogy would have been gross there. Free play. And then they just conceded. Yeah, super sick game. That combo early, I think, was just enough to get us ahead. Alrighty, we are playing Hala here in some classic constructed playing as Katsu, going in for some Flood of Force gaming. We went to go second here. They made a flurry. They have Iron Song versus online, so I think we're going to block. They do get a second swing with it. Man, it's a good question. Will they pump this one or will they pump the next one? That's kind of the thing, right? That's fine. If they pump the next one... Okay, they didn't, so that was a good gamble. I almost might just take 2 damage here, because I don't want to lose this Surging Strike going second. Oh, we drew another one. Okay. Well, in that case, then I think we aren't going to even use our cross strap here. We don't really have a great line here, so I think we're going to go Kadachi, we'll pull Dynamos, we'll go Surging Strike, then we'll probably throw the Dishonor and then Arsenal this other Surging Strike. And we'll see what he goes for here. Okay, so that's 2 cards they took out of their hand. That's cool. I'll throw this Dishonor just to get it in the graveyard. Dishonoring a Hala would be pretty good because then they just can't sharpen it on their own, which would be pretty good. And because there's no point in holding an extra card like that. So then we'll just Arsenal with Surging Strike. Ooh, CNC. Excuse me, that's pretty good. I think we can get away with... Yeah, blocking 6 here seems fine. We'll force more cards. They don't get to reset their Dynamos, which is good. We only have 1 more Surging Strike in the deck, but this hand just doesn't feel good enough to pop Cross Strap with, so I think I'm just going to go Surging for 5 here, see if we can pull some cards and equipment, and then the Whelming for 4, Kadachi end it. And then, that's another CNC gone, okay. Nice. Throw a Whelming here. They'll probably give us 2 cards, or a card and an equipment. And then we'll just pass from there. I think we can maybe even use this for a Descendant later when we have like a nice hand with a Harmony or something like that. I just don't think it makes sense to me to want to pop that when all we're gaining from popping Cross-Strap there is we hold on to a blue 100 wins in our hand. And that just doesn't seem worth it to me. This is pretty good, though. I like this hand. It's coming in for 4. They had a flurry on this, so it's going to get to swing twice no matter what. I think we might set up our graveyard a little more here and try and get this harmony in the graveyard, in the arsenal. I think getting a Tempest. I mean, this is a pretty fun hand though. So I'm like, do I care about taking 4 damage here? Maybe not. Maybe I just take like. They use some of their equipment. They'd have to. This might be worth. Yeah, that's fine. There's really no on hit here. I'm just gonna throw my equipment in front of it this time, and they can hit me another time for 4. That's fine. I'm gonna hold this hand. I'm gonna go Kadachi, Tempest, 100 wins, and then Arsenal. Sure, you can have a courage token. That's fine. 32 is not the end of the world for us. We'll actually leave with this 100 wins. And then just see what they give us. I mean, if it hits, I'll just get rid of the blue whelming and I'll throw another. Okay, no, we get this card. Cool. Leak a little more damage. Part of me is thinking about not even throwing this Tempest Palm, but I think we need it in here for a Bonds, to be honest. I think it's kind of important to get into the graveyard. So we'll throw that in there. See if we can drop a nice natural line. Arsenal that. This is pretty good. Yeah, I'm okay with this hand. We'll keep it. We'll play it. We'll try and make it work. We'll see what we hit with the harmony. I think that's the most important thing here. What do we snipe? A Descendant? It's pretty good. I really don't want to have to pitch things. But that's fine. We'll see what they give us and how we can block around it. We can gamble this like now and try and give them us a D react. I'm going to. Nice. Very worth it. Very, very worth it. And a Katsu. I'm going to turn... What do we have? We have a Rushing River in there, which is perfect for Break Tide. So I think we're going to turn this Gust Wave... Turn that Fluster Fist into a Bonds. And then we will not Breeze Riders at the moment. We're not going to Mask either yet. Don't need to. Pull out that Rushing River because that's pretty gas. They probably just start letting things hit because we've already done our thing. We just haven't popped Mask and Breeze Riders, which we will have to technically do to make this work. But we can throw Tempest Palm first for 4. Okay, cool. Sometimes I just like make them wanna. Yeah, we're gonna have to for this turn, and then we will Pouncing Links here for the probably a Flood of Force. We'll go Rushing River first. We'll save the Tempest and the Gust Wave of the second wind just to see what we hit off the top first and see if we want to... Because if we hit a Bonds, if we can save one of these, you know, we could go crazy here. Go Flood of Force first. Okay, it's a blue 100 wins. Not crazy in any capacity. It's worth 2. But that was the one I really needed to hit. So let's see. Let's do a Break Tide next. This is going to be the one for 6 Dominate. See if they give us the plate, the head, and other equipment. I think it'd be all their equipment and a card from hand to stop it, basically. Unless they had another Toad Line. Which they could have a Toad Line here. I'm more than happy for them to give me all of their equipment on this turn. Yeah, that's cool with me, man. Totally fine. What we're going to do, though, is I'm going to save this Tempest Palm because we lost our boots, and I want to make sure we don't brick. If we brick our next turn, it feels really, really bad. And then I'm just going to throw 1 and 1 here and save the 100 wins. Pretty happy with that turn. I think that's important. And saving that was so clutch. Because we can double bonds here? Question mark. Man, do I want to just throw this harmony? But I think it's probably. So if we throw we'd have to pitch the Kadachi for the from the Flood of Force to get Tempest online after playing the harmony. Or we could pitch these Kadachis to go Tempest Palm into bonds. We just don't have a way to get the Flood of Force online from this position right now without having a retrace. So I think I'm okay playing that out and seeing what we hit. Winds of Eternity is good because we can pull 100 winds up. Yeah, it's great. Doing all of this, we can either Arsenal the Whelming or we can go for a double bonds line now. And I think that is probably the way to go. See what they do. They don't. So we have another bonds in here. We could bonds out of bonds, turning this into a Tempest Palm, right? Because we have one more available. Yeah, that's just for sure the best thing to do here. I mean, we'll bonds another bonds. Yeah, I think we might just win on this turn. I don't know if they have enough blocking ability. We'll see, though. They might get like down to 1 or 2. But from there, we should be able to just Kadachi them out. And this really is where like Harmony feels so good to play out of hand again now, because of so many combo cards in the deck that you almost just don't miss. And the times you do miss, like, it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to miss sometimes. But like hitting that Winds of Eternity means that we can bonds out 100 wins at the end here for 4 and then play that Winds of Eternity for 5 instead of it being for 4. So like it just extends the damage so much, and it's an extra 5 damage that we wouldn't have had. Plus all of the plus ones across. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like 10 value from a Social Harmony is just insane. I don't. Yeah, it's crazy, and I think this is what makes this deck feel so good right now. Old Katsu just whiffed too much, and like, yeah, it could do double bonds sometimes easier, but I just think this is just more efficient. But yeah, I mean, it puts him to 3, shuffles the card back in, and from this position, I just don't see a world like. I mean, I can't lie, this hand has been pretty bonkers. I can't even play that retrace, though. Honestly, I probably didn't even need to, play it. I could have just pitched it to Kadachi's. Oops. Don't want to play that one. I wanted to hit the one next to it. But this should demand enough cards, hopefully. Or he's just going to... Oh, yeah, D-React, okay. I actually will Katsu, though, because I can... 1 red. I just played a red. And there is... No, there's still more red, yeah. I think turning this into 5... yeah, we're going to turn that into a red 100 wins, because that's worth more, baby. And then we can have that for 6, and then the retrace for 3 at the end. Yeah. Clutch. Crazy game. Probably some of the most just consistently strong, like 32 to 29 in back-to-back it's pretty brutal. And it did take us a few turns to kind of get there and set up our graveyard to be ready for that turn. But then when it lines up, man, it just lines up so nicely. And like I said, we already had taken, half our health before we got to that point. So I think knowing how to use your health as a resource is pretty important. That was a really good game. Alrighty, we are running into Jarl here, doing some classic constructed gameplay. We're going to be going first, and I think we're just going to be setting up a card here. Actually, I honestly... Oh gosh, drawing 2 bonds turn 0 is really bad. So I think, yeah, we are still just going to go this route. It's fine. He has a shelter, so it doesn't do anything. So we're not going to be able to win cutter this turn. I really would have rathered. Almost thinking I should have pitched the rushing and then pitched the bonds, and then I could have filtered one of the bonds out instead, but it's fine. We'll get a rushing river in the graveyard. And there's arsenal of bonds, Q bonds. Wowza. Not great. Definitely not great to start here. They're going to Imposing Visage here. Finding a Crumble. Makes sense. Playing a second Crumble. Wow. Okay. We'll leave with 100 wins, I guess. Yeah, this is just bad for us. This is just such bad hand. I feel like we genuinely just have to like go this turn. We don't really get a chance. We can double bonds here. I don't know if I want to double bonds, but I could. I think we're gonna have to Breeze Riders. This sucks. This is such a bad start. But I feel like we just need to do this. Because we can pitch for the bonds. We're gonna pull out the Flood of Force here. If he blocks with Stalagmite, we can just pitch for this bonds with that one, so at least we're not gonna like get stuffed out here, and then we can bonds out the Rushing River and then play the Flood of Force. And yeah, we'll keep the card in hand just in case we need to pitch around Stalagmite. Yeah, and we will have to, which is good that we did that then. So rushing, paying the one. And that way we actually don't lose our two. So that works out for us. And we honestly could go for a double flood here. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna see what I hit first. Our third Bonds of Ancestry. That's crazy. Do I want to go for another one? Like, I think we could go for. We could go. The only other option we have here is that we can go for a Break Tide, which would be for 5 Dominate, but then he just need to give us a card here, which feels not good. Or like not gonna. I think we're gonna Mask, and we're just gonna fling another Flood Force here, and hopefully hit something off the top. Nice. Okay, so it was a Surging Strike off the top. That's a pretty bad use of Mask, but we got greedy. It's okay. Seeing the Surging come up, I think it was my only other option to not Wind Cutter there. We'll pay 1 with that, I guess. 5 Dominate. That's fine. We'll just take the 5 here and then pay the remaining 2 for the Frost Bang with the card that was pitched there. We're gonna pay that and see what he gives me. Do get a Frostbite, that's fine. We're gonna play around it, but I mean, it's still 5 more damage. It takes cards out of his hand, so I'm okay with that. I didn't have go again, so let's chill. Just a CNC for 6. I don't really want to lose the bonds here. I'm gonna block 6. And then this turn is just going to be a setup turn. Maybe we get Shuriken out. We'll see. He probably blocks this one. Oh, he doesn't? Okay. So throw Fluster here. He could technically block with Stalagmite now to deny it, because I won't be able to pay the extra 1 for the Wind Cutter. Feels like a pretty poor usage of Stalagmite, though. Maybe not. Maybe it's a good use. I think he'd rather use it on a turn that I'm, like, throwing damage, though. Yeah, makes sense. Cool. So we get a Shuriken out. That's nice. Put him to 17. Still has all of his equipment. But. Alright. Everbloom Life. It's a pretty good hand. Felling. Only for 4, which is nice. He's not online yet. And then we'll throw. We don't have to go again, so we'll put the Russian River on the bottom. We'll take the 4. I still have to play around Stalagmite and stuff, so we're going to lead with the card attack here. That's fine, we don't need it to hit here. We'll grab... I wish I could get a double bonds here, but I just don't have the ability to do that, unfortunately. Without, so just grab Fluster. Should try to Arsenal this Whelming, because I still have a Surging Strike in the deck. I still have 2 in the deck. So, there's not really a point in not arsenaling it. It could be nice to arsenal that. We could throw the second Kodachi and then he could block with Stalagmite. I think we just... that if he blocks with Stalagmite on this Kodachi, we have to pitch this card to throw the Fluster. So I'm okay just eating a resource, I think. Just so that we don't lose the value. And we'll arsenal this Whelming. Oh, we drew our Surging. Gas. He does hit us with a second Felling. This does make it up to 8, and then we are going to bottom a card. We'll bottom the Breaktide. We're just going to take 8 here. We just take the damage. It's not disrupting any more than that. Still has 1 up on the Stalagmite. We're going to go Surging, leaving the 1 floating. So that he has to block around it. And we at least don't just get blown out with the Stalagmite there. Play the Whelming. He's got to overblock it because of the Shuriken. Theoretically. She doesn't. So the question is... oh, he does have his boots online, so... the real question is, do we want to force him to use his boots right now or not? It's a good question. Oops. Wrong one. Wrong quick chat. 2-card hand. Forcing him to get rid of this now could be nice. Just arsenal this Tempest. We're not going to die here. Yeah, let's force him to use it. Yeah, cool. Because I'm really not doing anything with it. Cool with me. Hopefully he just doesn't have the 3rd one. He has the 3rd Felling, so that's back triple Felling. It's pretty good. I think here... man, we probably bottom 100 wins, right? And then we just take the 8. I would have loved to throw that full hand with the Harmony. But I unfortunately need it for the line here. And we can play around Stalagmite still by saving 1. But we'll be able to... yeah, we have Retraces left. Okay, so yeah, we can go here. We'll do a Descend it into a Bonds, pull out a Retrace, then we can go Tempest Retrace. Or yeah, I guess we can do whatever. Doesn't really matter. Play the Bonds. It's just worth 4, but like so is just throwing another Fluster, to be honest. Oh, there we go. Can't Katsu from this position, so he's safe to just throw that. Then I'm going to throw 4 here, and then maybe he gives us Stalagmite. He does not, so we get to Wind Cutter. Put one back out, which is nice. Got 2-card hand. We still have that Tempest chilling for our next one, which will be nice to use. We're still at 15. I'm pretty comfortable with that. And that was the 3rd felling he played in a row. So you could have a CNC, which could be kind of gross. Or Plow Under, which is also pretty good. Still does the same thing. And I think he has... Yeah. All right, so we lost the Tempest. Unfortunately, I think we need to preserve health at this position. So I'm gonna. We still have a Surging Strike in the deck, yeah. Yeah, we still have one more Surging Strike in the deck. I kind of want to arsenal this Whelming. Let me try and preserve a little health. I don't think I can't kill him with this hand. So I think we're just going to try and set it up so we don't die with our next hand. Or don't die on the next hand, I should say. Getting a block out of the Kadachi, though, that's nice. I'm assuming his hand just doesn't operate super hard. We're just going to Arsenal this Whelming. We did draw the 3rd another Shuriken here. He Plow Under us again. Which he... Oh, that's why he wanted to block with it, so he could trigger it. That makes sense. We're going to play block on 6 here again. And hopefully we don't get punished for this, because I'm just going to set up my Shuriken and pass. We might get punished for this. Giving him a 5-card hand at 15 health is a little dangerous. Yeah. That was my worry. Oh, he doesn't get to fuse it, though. I wonder if he's going to pummel it. Pummeling doesn't kill us here, so I think we gamble that he pummels us. And don't die. He doesn't have it, so it's just 8 raw damage. So I think we're looking pretty good here. This is a turn, I think, where we have a chance to finish it out. We had to just gamble. Okay, he had the Shelter. A little annoying, but that's fine. We can play around the cost of Retrace, or the cost of Descendant with our Retrace, which is pretty good. So he can try to do the thing, but it probably won't do anything. We're still floating a Prevention, that's fine. I'll name this Surging Strike, because that'll make this come in for 5. Throws a Sink. Okay, we'll let it go. We don't need to search for anything if any of these hit, so it's kind of like, is it even worth... I don't know if it is. I think just taking 4 here is probably the... Wow, he had a lot of defensive cards. Jeez. Honestly, I'm going to just Arsenal this 100 wins. Because he can't do anything really to... Wowza. That is a hand. That is like the worst possible hand. 3 Break Tides and a T-Green, huh? I guess we just block with one of them, because it's all we can do. And we'll just lead with one. Brutal. That's fine. We're going to have to pitch one of these anyway to make it 3. We'll Katsu. Yep, that Break Tide into... I think we should just go for another 100 wins, maybe. I'm not too worried about shuffling them back in, so... so we can do some extra damage here. Don't think he's going to play another D-React. I'll gamble on it, whatever. And then we'll see, will he go to 1? Because if he goes to 1, I can gamble with the T-Green here. And make it 2, and either force him to give me a D-React or he dies. Pretty sneaky. Wow, he did take it. Oh man, brutal. It was a good game. I wonder what he was. I mean, I guess if he's just holding, he doesn't have a really strong hand. Regardless, he wanted to try and either close it out with the dominate, or he couldn't keep the channel around. Ripple away doesn't do much. Yeah, I guess he really didn't have much of a turn if he blocks here, so he just kind of forced into it. Really interesting game. I mean, I'm really happy we got the win. I didn't feel like we were gonna really do much that game. I didn't feel ahead at any point. But yeah, kind of just closed it out and it worked out well. So super sick game.